Hello and welcome to our Mr. CEO podcast as well as videos. Thank you for joining us, man, as we speak to our community of entrepreneurs who are vibrant, young and motivated. And this week, it is no different. We are joined by another young, successful entrepreneur who goes by the name of Khanya Mkoto. Not only is an entrepreneur, but he's also a statistician. And his company is actually called The Young Catalyst. And their aim is to, I quote, to ignite tomorrow's leaders, one initiative at a time. And he is here with me. Hello, Khanya.
Hey, how are you doing, Zananda?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for that introduction.
Really?
Really great.
But I think it hasn't even done you like justice.
Do you think so?
Nah, there's so much more to this. And I feel like today we're going to be tapping into who Khanya Mkoto is, as well as just all the initiatives that you have, behind you.
Yeah.
Now, I know first and foremost, I was reading something about you and it said that you've always been good with numbers from a young age.
Yes,
but
yes,
I feel like being good with something is very different than, being passionate about it. So when did the passion for mathematics come about?
The passion for mathematics came about for me in grade 6. I had a really amazing teacher called Mr. Stevens. So he really focused on me out of all the kids in the class, and put his attention on me in terms of how good that I could potentially be in this subject. Because my marks weren't that high at that time. I think I was still in the 70s, but for some reason he believed that I could get to the 90s.
So the 70s is not good enough. It's not high enough. Okay,
well,
we see for Khanya Mkoto, it's not good enough, but okay.
Yeah. In grade 6, he felt like I could do more, and he really, really focused on me. And that's where the love for me for mathematics started. And then I also had another really great teacher in grade 9, Mrs. Emery at Alexander Road High School in Port Elizabeth. And she got me into the Mathematics Olympiad, where it was the old Mutual Mathematics Olympiad. Not sure if it's still going on. So you have to go through a couple of rounds, and then I had to go through maybe 2. And then once I qualified to go to India for the International Maths Olympiad. And then I got an opportunity to represent South Africa in India because I qualified.
Wow.
But it's all been through amazing teachers who've believed that I can actually do the subject. And for me, that's where the love, came about, and the interest in the subject. So that's why I chose to do a BSc mathematics, majoring in mathematics and mathematical statistics in university.
And you got honors for that. And not just honors, but you're also cum laude, am I right?
Yes, I am.
It's amazing how, your passion from, the teachers grew to be what it was. It's great to see how far mathematics has taken you. But do you think that our young South Africans have the same passion, or do you think that South Africa has a mathematics problem?
It definitely does. I mean, I think it was the World Economic Forum which actually did a study, I think it was 3 years ago, where the statistics were showing that we've got the lowest quality of mathematics and science education. It was about 52 countries, I think. I stand to be corrected, that were surveyed in that statistical report. And there's definitely an issue of a quality of the subject, and I think that pertains a lot to the quality of teachers that we do have who are teaching the subject. Because as part of teaching, through the people that I've tutored, I've realized that it's also a confidence boost thing that you need to kind of add to the student. It's also an esteem thing that you need to add to the student, because a lot of students become so frightened when they actually see numbers, or they see a mathematical, question which is phrased in a mathematical way. So
it's X and a Y, but it's
absolutely
supposed to be mathematics.
And it's not that they can't do it, but it's the fear sometimes which comes through. And there's a particular way of thinking when it comes to mathematics, and I think if we'd really focus on primary school education when it comes to the subject, I think there'd be such a huge difference in the country, because a lot of the focus comes in high school for some reason. Specifically grade 11 and grade 12, because they're coming into tertiary. But there should be a lot more focus on primary school education, because that's where you develop a child's thinking. And that's where my thinking got groomed as well. And that's where the difference came about. So there's such an importance in terms of a correlation, I think, between a quality teacher and quality education.
And I love what you're saying, and I love how the Young Catalyst, which is your entity, helps kids to be able to, reach the potential that, they eventually and could potentially, reach in terms of maths. Now, take us through your entity. What are some of the services that it provides?
So we have an annual, we started last year, first of all. As you know, the tagline is Igniting Tomorrow's Leaders. We have 3 pillars: education, entrepreneurship, and employment. And we want to add our voice into all those 3 different streams. A part of what we want to do, we haven't started the Maths Initiative yet, but it's something that we're looking to start as soon as we have the capacity to do it. And what underlies us as an organization is conversation. We want to add our voice to these different entities. So we had an annual entrepreneurship seminar recently where Unkululeko was there as well,
Kuyasha media boss.
Yes. So he was there as well, and we basically got together high impact entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs to basically get some knowledge from the high impact entrepreneurs and learn from them, but at the same time get an opportunity to network with other entrepreneurs. So that's part of us adding our voice. So the conversation now going forward, in terms of that, this is just an example, is how do we make that something which is ongoing and not just an event which happens at one time. So we want to have regular conversations, and we want to do them actually through what we're doing now, through digital media. Because we believe digital media is one of the best ways to actually educate people and be able to have a wider impact.
I get you. Now, in terms of educating people, especially about entrepreneurship, and with these seminars, what do you think are the key points that people walked away with in terms of this last seminar? And what are the key points that young entrepreneurs and startups need to look at?
So I think, our theme, first of all, was Africans Come Uninvited. I think one of the main things that I heard from, a lot of the entrepreneurs is that they were refueled. What I'm finding is that a lot of entrepreneurs are actually tired because it's a really hard thing to do. I think I myself have underestimated it because I didn't come in as an entrepreneur, I believe. I came in more of a social activist. So it's actually a very character building thing that you get into. And without character, there's no way that your business or whatever you're doing can grow. So one of the things that I think the entrepreneurs, based on what they've said to me, is that it refueled them based on their businesses that they have, refueled their passion of what they want to do. Some of them were able to make contacts with some of our speakers as well. I know one person got an opportunity to be hosted by one of the companies that were actually there, called Dash Host, represented there. So networking there was an opportunity for them which was utilized, and I think just to basically learn from each other, in that it is possible. We had young guys there, Pineapple guys. They're a young group of 3 men, I think they're in their 20s, and they have a tech insurance company, a first of its kind. It's an app. You should check them out, Pineapple SA on Instagram. And to see them and what they're currently doing, I think they got $3 million sponsor or donation from a company from overseas. And they're basically building their InsurTech, one step at a time. And for the people in the audience to see people are reflecting them, we chose Pineapple to be one of the speakers intentionally because they're young. So I think even that, it's just a showing of what's possible, and that's what we're trying to do as well, to encourage.
Yes, and I love how you've already touched on finances, because I wanted to talk about the money. We know that you're an analyst, apart from just being a founder of the Young Catalyst. You're an analyst. Now, if Khanya was not an analyst, would there still be the Young Catalyst? Would you still be able to fund and grow your business?
Such a good question. Really brilliant question. No, I think.
Really? Because there are myths that and there are these stories that we hear of people saying, actually, you don't need money to be an entrepreneur. You don't need money to start. So, and they like to say it from afar. Now, hearing it from you who started something and you're like, no, that's interesting. Please carry on.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I said no, right? But as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe if I was in a situation where I really had such a deep passion, which I do, for what I'm doing, and I had the zeal and belief in it so much, I would be able to build it. I'm not sure about maintaining it without capital. I definitely need to get volunteers as well to assist. But this has been self-invested thus far, the Young Catalyst. And it's a lot of costs, in terms of maintaining it, getting the right resources as well, getting a site which looks the way it does, because you want to distribute a product of, quality. That costs money. It really, really does. If I didn't have money, I'd probably I wouldn't have the website, let's say. I could still use social media, because social media is at everyone's disposal, but I would still need other people's resources to make it happen. So that would depend on, people. There's a saying where it says, people don't believe in businesses, they believe in people. So people would have to believe in me enough to know that they can invest in me and help me with my vision. There's always a way. To actually say that maybe I wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think is true. I think I would be able to do it, but there would be limitations.
And it wouldn't have been as smooth sailing, if I can say, as it was.
I get what you're saying. And I wouldn't have a website probably, except if it was sponsored by someone else. Because someone offered to sponsor me, by the way, for that website.
That's amazing.
And then they dropped me. You see, things which you like, they just dropped me like that. And I know this doesn't just happen to me, it happens to other entrepreneurs as well. And I had to basically, do it myself, because I believe in the vision so much. I believe in what we are trying to do. I believe that we will be able to build a network of leaders all across the country who are catalysts, who represent the possibility of what you can become.
That's amazing.
Look at you studying accounting and you're also doing this media thing.
So shout out to me too. And shout out to Mr. CEO, because like how you're saying, trying to build, a group and a community of, catalysts with, and that's what, Mr. CEO and these podcasts and videos are about. It's about building a community of entrepreneurs and to show other people out there that actually this is possible. Now, you spoke about some difficulties that you've occurred along the way. Can you please just tell us some more of the difficulties that you've incurred, especially being a service business? Because we know all about tangible products and selling tangible products, but now being a service business, how has that been?
I can speak about the challenges that I've had, as an entrepreneur. I think, learning how to delegate responsibility, especially in the beginning. You get a team, but then, at the same time, it's your baby. And at the same time, the people who are working in your team actually have full-time jobs. And there's no financial compensation. They're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. So if they can't do it sometimes, then you kind of need to take it on. And also, sometimes, learning that the importance of delegation. you can't be a leader if you can't delegate responsibility, a shared responsibility within the team. Otherwise, the company won't grow as well as it should.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was a huge thing that I've come to learn, and I continue to learn, that Khanya, you don't have to take on all the responsibility. You have people, they have skills, they have talents, utilize them. They're here for a reason. And I think that's a test of leadership, of always doing that, keeping people motivated as well if you've come up with something, and keeping them believing in the vision. And then in terms of it being a service business and being able to measure the impact you're having, that is very difficult. Or the level of, because it's not a profit business at the moment. So being able to see, okay, am I actually getting something?
Yeah.
Is there a tangible thing here? As I said, I came in as a social activist. For me, wanting, at a time I felt lonely in university. I wanted to build something where people never had to feel alone, and where I could encourage young leaders. People aren't really known.
Yeah.
So how do you measure that? Because the intention is impact of people's lives. It's positive impact. And I guess then it's through feedback.
Yeah.
And eventually we will turn into a profit-making business venture. But I think the focus for us now is to touch lives. It is to impact lives. And the more people come back to us and tell us, this was good.
Yeah.
Just like with the entrepreneurial scene, you need more of these. Then it tells us, okay, we're on the right track.
Okay.
We're onto something. How can we make it better?
Yes.
So that's how we basically are starting to measure our type of impact, which is different to, maybe a tangible business where there is profit.
Yeah.
It's money orientated. Trust me, we do need money, and we do want to make money, and that's where we're headed. But at the moment, how we measure our impact is based on our passions of trying to make a positive
Yes,
impact.
100%. And then lastly, I'm so sad this is coming to an end.
Is it coming to an
Yes,
end?
it's coming to an end.
No, man, this is too short.
But no, we have to wrap it up. Lastly, when someone undertakes this venture of being an entrepreneur, what can they expect and what do they learn about themselves? You need to tell them, because they're gonna experience it.
I actually want to share an article, which I think is very important, that people can check out. Please check out this article. It's called "Choosing the Right Legal Form of Your Social Enterprise: Insights from a Strategy Consultant." So it's by Marcus Kutsia. That's who the article is by. It's just Google it. I have basically tried to know what type of business that we should have, like whether it should be PTY, whether it should be non-profit. I learned about hybrid as well now, that you can have one which is PTY and also non-profit, so it's a mixture of the two. And I've been looking at the internet and I couldn't find anything. This article explains it so much. Like, everything that I saw was so confusing. It speaks about the type of documents you should have if you have a non-profit, which will help you in terms of getting corporate investment. So it's a very good article to refer to. So for me, I would say access to information. Mentorship is so important. If you can find a mentor, great. Access to information is so important. I didn't have access to information. Sometimes you look for it and you can't really find it, and it's confusing. So that's one of the big takeouts for me. Access to the information that you need. Get a mentor to help you out. And understand that entrepreneurship is really about building your character more than anything. And expanding as well, and impacting people's lives. In essence, everybody's a social entrepreneur because you are assisting in the economy, right? And that's your aim, that's your intention. So stick to it and revamp it if it needs some revamping. And that's what I would say in short.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Khanya, for coming through, joining us and talking to us about your journey as an entrepreneur, about your entity, the Young Catalyst. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you, what the future holds for the Young Catalyst, and I'm sure as the years goes by, because it only started like the end of 2015, you know, the Young Cat. As the years go by, we are going to be seeing more and more Young Catalysts all over Africa. And then he did also speak about the fact that we need mentors. So when we end this, just to put him in a spot where it's tight and we can't get out of it, I'm gonna ask you to be my mentor.
Oh,
Kanya,
really?
be my mentor, please.
For sure.
Okay,
definitely.
there you have it.
How cool is that?
I have a mentor. Make sure that you go out and get yourself a mentor as well. That's it for our Mr. CEO podcast as well as video. And we'll check you out next time with someone else who's great, motivated, and young, and is an entrepreneur.
Awesome.